So we were discussing this concept, this mechanism, right? UB just CB remedium, where we saw the limitation. Meaning is when there is a right, there is a remedy. If your legal right is violated, you will for sure get a legal remedy as well. But there are certain limitations. In some cases, even though you have suffered loss, you may not get a legal remedy, like in case of violation of a moral or a political wrong, or in case of in cases wherein no legal damage is caused but person has suffered loss, in case of breach of marriage vows and all that stuff. Sometimes it may not be applicable, this concept. When there is a right, there is a remedy, it may not be applicable. Then we saw the ingredients. There has to be a right, that is legal right. Violation of that legal right, legal remedy should be available, and it may depend on situation to situation, what was affected, how your rights were being violated and all that stuff. Then in cases, right, we have those same cases from the Latin maxims, demnum sine injuria, injuria sine dine, that we can apply, like HB versus White. Here what happened? Person was denied his right to vote, so he was given a remedy. So what is important? Rather than the loss, violation of legal right is important. Similarly, we also have this DK Basu versus State of West Bengal. Okay, so we have this case DK Basu versus State of West Bengal. I guess you are not aware of this case, right?
Yes, ma'am. I don't know.
Yeah. So what happened here is DK Basu, he was working as executive chairman in Legal Aid Services West Bengal. So there will be different these NGOs and all the organizations which would work for benefit of people, right? Similarly, there was an organization called Legal Aid Services, which was in West Bengal. And in this organization, DK Basu was working as executive chairman. Okay, so he read few newspapers, and in those newspapers, some articles were written relating to custodial violence. Okay, so what is custodial violence? Are you aware of it?
No.
Are you aware?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay, so custody as in someone is under custody of someone. Okay, they take for example, someone is arrested by police. What we say? This person is taken under custody. Police has taken him under custody. That means under custody as in under control of that police this person is. Okay, like a child is under custody of his parents. Okay, take for example, you are under your parents' custody. That means your parents are taking care of you, looking after you. Okay, similarly, when a person is arrested, that person is under police officer's custody. Police officer is looking after the person and, you know, like keeping him within their custody. Similarly, there may be other bodies like CBI, there may be other bodies like ED. They would also take people under custody to do some investigation and to proceed with a case, basically. Okay, so in custody, in police custody, basically, there used to be a lot of violence. Like police would use third degree method, police would beat a person just to make them confess their crime. Police would not provide them some basic needs. A lot of different violence used to continue. That is custodial violence. When a person is within custody of police, police officers are not properly taking care of them. Police officer is like violating basic rights of the person. Okay, similar situation were reported in different police stations, and mentioning them, some news articles were published in these newspapers, Indian Express and Telegraph, regarding it, that person died during in police lockup. When the person was under police custody, the person died because of the violence that went against him. So accordingly, what DK Basu did is he highlighted those matters, that see, in these newspapers, these things are being written, these things are being mentioned. So similarly, he mentioned those, and he wrote a letter to Chief Justice of India. Okay, Chief Justice of India Supreme Court, he wrote a letter highlighting that, see, this is what is happening in custody of police, and maybe you should take notice of the matter. Accordingly, this letter was received by Chief Justice, and Chief Justice of India treated it like a case itself. Okay, converted this letter to a case and started hearing the matter. Okay, are you aware there is a concept called public interest litigation?
No,
You have not heard that? Public interest litigation. Okay, so what is public interest? What is litigation?
like writing anything about.
Litigation, like filing a case, right? We are going to court filing a case. So litigation is like filing a case. When we say public interest, that means you have not suffered any loss. You are not going for your own right, but rather you are approaching the court for a matter of public interest. Might be you are not even affected by it, but just because you are socially concerned, you decided to file a case representing this public interest, and you accordingly filed the case. Okay, that means not the victim, but rather someone else, some socially concerned person is filing a case. That is public interest litigation. In the interest of some public, you are filing a case yourself. That is public interest litigation. So DK Basu's letter was converted into a public interest litigation. That DK Basu was not under custody of anyone. He was simply this executive chairman of this body, Legal Aid Services, but being a socially concerned person, he was aware about this situation going on. And accordingly, he informed Chief Justice of India about this matter. So his letter itself was converted into a public interest litigation, and court started hearing parties and all that stuff happened. And during this process, right, court realized that yes, in reality, a lot of different things are going on within custody. No one is following any rights. Their rights are being violated. This, that, like nothing is going on properly. And we do not have any set standard. We do not have any legislation or anything. So Supreme Court said that until we have like a proper legislation to deal with rights of prisoners in custody, what we are going to do is, here are 11 guidelines that you need to follow. Okay, so police officers need to follow those 11 guidelines if they are taking someone in custody. Okay, those 11 guidelines are very important. Even now, these are being followed. What are these 11 guidelines? Take, for example, some police officer wants to arrest a person. He cannot simply come in his like casual wear, but he need to wear his uniform. And here you would see his name and designation would be mentioned, right? For police officers, that should be properly mentioned, visibly mentioned. Then when someone is arrested, he would be, his medical examination will be done. In a record book, record would be mentioned when the person is arrested, at what time, for what offense. Then he also will be allowed to make at least one phone call to his friend or family to inform about the arrest. Like that, there are a lot of different rights which are being given to the arrested person. Okay, so 11 guidelines were issued in this case, DK Basu versus State of West Bengal, and these guidelines are even now followed. So why it is done? Because even if you are arrested, there are like the guilt of the person is not proved, right? Only based on the complaint made, only based on the evidences available, someone is arrested. So his rights should be protected, and accordingly he should be allowed to enjoy those rights also. Right, so these cases you can mention that how a person is being given the rights which that person deserves. Okay, is this case clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So after that, you can just put a conclusion. There was one case like write a short note on UBJCB remedium, I guess in 2021, this year itself, that March
Yes,
exam,
ma'am.
right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
there, this question was there. So here you can write these parts like ingredients, limitations, and then cases, and then conclusion you can write. Okay, so the law provides and makes sure that people do not suffer from violation of their right. It is not that law will simply provide that this is a right, take it, enjoy it. No, you cannot enjoy it unless and until it is protected. So law also knows that they would not simply give you a right, but they will also make provision for remedy. If in any case your right is violated, this is the remedy which you have. You can claim for this, you can claim for that. Accordingly, complete provision will be mentioned. It's not simply that a certain right will be given to a person. Right? So accordingly, you can write this conclusion itself also. So those things are given in your unit 1. Apart from those, there is another concept called mental element. Right? That is also there in unit 1.
Yes, ma'am, we have.